do this. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Trifecta podcast, a podcast from all corners. As always, we are here with Des, Braden, and myself, Brandi, for another fantastic week of absolute nonsense. For this week, I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adjusting our schedule a little bit. I don't want to use the word schedule because that sounds a lot like timed things are happening. I guess structure is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Structure.
I want to listen to your structure.
Structure. So what we're going to be doing instead is we're going to be doing our regular catch-up, but then we're going to be starting a new segment shortly after that called What's the Word? Each one of us is just going to share something that we've heard throughout the past week or so, either in pop culture, politics, social media, Google News, whatever you need, and we'll just talk about it for a short little minute. Hopefully, stuff that's current and relevant, and then we'll finish off today with our topic, which is going to be with the new autumn season. It's going to be happiness. What makes you happy with the new season starting? It's kind of a freshness, a rebirth. And we'll talk about what makes you happy, long-term, short-term, all those kinds of things, where we seek happiness and all that good stuff. So how's everyone been? So far, so good.
Good. Thank you very much for asking.
You're welcome. It's on my schedule. I have to ask you.
Just reminds me of like the shark monocle. Good.
Oh
my gosh, good times. Good times.
Should
we explain that to people?
Keep it an inside job.
That's for us to know, and that's it.
And for you not to find out, is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, pretty much.
It was the long weekend, so that was nice for most people. Have the day off, and we had like a long weekend. We had 2 birthdays that we went to, so that was really fun. Xander's best friend had a birthday, and my nephew had his first birthday party, and they were super fun. And then today we got to go to the Sunflower Expo, so that was really neat to see. But yeah, that was our weekend.
I had no idea that Sunflower Expo was a thing.
Well, yeah, because last year, actually, I will bring that up later.
Oh, it's a secret now.
You can make anything into an expo. I'm going to go to like a stationary expo. I'm going to start one.
I was going to be like, oh, you just don't talk about Sunflower Club.
Yeah. You're not in the club. Did you pay the entrance fee?
I don't know about the club. I'm not cool enough for the Sunflower Club. Oh, how about you, Braden? How's your week?
We're good. We are good. Des mentioned that it was a long weekend. I don't know what long weekends are because I work every long weekend. So, but it works out for me. But honestly, just same old. Applied for a new position at work again. So waiting for that to close tomorrow. I have a bunch of meetings lined up this week. So hopefully things will go well there. And that's about it. Nothing super exciting.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm pretty boring.
No, I'm in that boat with you too. I worked, we're at the very tail end of the back to school season right now. So like I'm like this decrepit, sad old lady whose back and feet hurt all the time. And I'm ready for a break. But yeah, we're just at the tail end of the back to school season. I have a nice 4-day break coming very shortly that I'm very much looking forward to. And I'm going to be going floating on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know how it is. I might just. Yeah.
It's your first time, right?
Yeah, I've never been. I'm scared.
I'm so excited. I can't wait for you. I want to hear all the things about it.
I think I'm probably gonna get I'm probably gonna see myself outside my body or something. My brain is just so aggressive that I feel like something crazy is gonna happen. I can't just sleep or I don't know.
You're gonna take some hallucinogens before you go in there.
And the thing is, I don't think I need to. My brain is just so on all the time to be in complete silence. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see.
That's fair.
I'll let you know. Tune in next week.
Yeah, exactly. Be here next Sunday.
Okay.
That's exciting.
Okay. Well, that was a good catch up. Let's sneak into the news of the week in our new segment called "What's the Word?" Tell me the word.
What's the word?
Maybe our theme song.
Yeah.
We should put a little jingle in there.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
It's all we're just, flying by the seat of our pants right now. Just
We're
winging it. I love good wing.
It's like our first episode all over again.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. I'm like, I didn't know what we're doing.
It's fun.
But I thought I would start it off because I kind of like cut off that other thing there. But what my little thing was just going to be about the Sunflower Expo. I actually changed my mind like 3 different times right before the episode on what I was talking about. But the Sunflower Expo, a lot of people didn't know that we had one this year. But the reason why it came about is because last year, apparently people were like showing up at sunflower fields, like on the highway and stuff. And they were pulling over and going and taking pictures in the crops for Instagram, right? You got to be.
Oh, I remember that.
Right? Yeah. And they were like ruining the crops. So the farmers were actually like, having to deal with all of this damage to their crops. And I think like one of the men had like been interviewed and said like it was like 100 people would stop per hour like to take pictures in the fields, and they were just trespassing, right? Because they're not going and asking, they're just like running up. But like some people would take them, like take one with them, or like, you're going through, so like damage happens and stuff. So, that's at a loss for the farmers. So it was like an issue. And I think that, I don't know if it was more than one, but at least one of the farmers had like gone and like done some interviews and were on the news about it. And Amazing Corn did an expo this year. So you can pay an entrance fee and go to the specific like area where there's a few different types of sunflowers that are planted too. And you can go and take pictures wherever you want, and you get to bring home one per entrance fee, one sunflower per entrance fee. So it was neat. It was a neat experience to like show the kids like what they look like when they're growing and like the different types. And of course it was fun to like get in there and like take some pictures, and it was really sweet. I posted on the blog a picture of my kids. I was like, so how was the Sunflower Expo? And then I was like, my kids with the arrow down, and they're both just like crying. Like, but we actually, like, despite all of that, they had like a couple of little meltdowns and stuff, but we got some like cute shots, and it was a neat experience. And I came home, we went with my sister and her husband and my nephew. So I got to bring home their sunflowers too. So I have a little bouquet in the living room. So it looks like very like end of summer, fall on my little mantle right now. And I'm really happy.
Yeah.
I totally remember that people going through and like taking taking like Instagram photos and stuff. That was like all over the news last year. I remember that. Yeah, that's cool that they made the expo to like help combat that, which is really cool.
Yeah, and there was somebody, I just saw an interview like recently where the guy was saying that the traffic now he said he moved his crop so that it was harder for people to like get to it, like to randomly just like stop on a highway and get to it. So there was that, but he said also with the opening of the expo, he's like, it has helped quite a bit for his, like for, the preservation of his fields. So that's really awesome to hear. And like, I mean, I bet that Amazing Corn is like that is such a profitable idea. Like you hear, oh, people are going and trespassing because they want these like pictures for Instagram. This is a cause it's a fad, right? It's like all these different fads. You see these pictures. Oh, everybody wants to like walk on a bridge and hold their boyfriend's hand and look back at the camera. Okay. So for like a year, we have these pictures. Well, right now it's like sunflower pictures. It's the time of year. It's like what people want on their timelines. They see other people and they're like, I want those pictures in my living room of my family. So they're going to pay the $12 a head to get in.
Oh, 100%.
That is like so smart.
Genius.
Right? Like,
We should watch out for the next trend and like figure out how to like capitalize on it.
Are we gonna buy a farm?
We're like,
can we rent one for like a month? Like,
right?
I'll just rent it for a month. I'm good. Well, do you want to go next, Brandi, or
no? Go ahead.
So I was originally going to talk about the new music coming out from Camila Cabello because I love her. But I actually wanted to kind of get into a little bit about Hurricane Dorian. It's like, for those of you who haven't been watching the news, huge hurricane happening down in like the States. I'm kind of like really involved in regards to like the hurricane right now, staying kind of like on top of the news because as some of you may know, Brandi and I are going on a cruise that are going through that area that's currently being affected. But I was actually really like disheartened the other day because there were people commenting like on like our Facebook page for like that particular ship, being like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I can't believe that Royal Caribbean is changing the itinerary and not going to these islands, and we can't go to Coco Cay because of this hurricane. And it's like, in my mind, I'm like,
die or
yeah, I'm like, it's your life. And then I like stopped to think, I'm like, do you not realize that like all of those people that live in that area, they're 100% affected by this? And like, okay, yeah, sure, it's your vacation. Yeah, you paid a lot of money for it, but that is so minuscule to like the actual like effects that are happening to those people in that area. And so it just like really blew my mind. And I was like so like angry. I was like, I can't comment on it on Facebook because I'm not starting like a Facebook war with somebody on a cruise ship. like I'm just not gonna get into that. But like it just blows my mind. Like then like
the
not maybe not
the privilege of you, right? Like how dare you, like these people can be like injured or even killed and their homes be swept away. Like you don't know what is going to be what is going to happen to these people, but it's bad. And you're sad because you can't go on vacation there. Like boo fucking who to you. Like you can go somewhere else. Like these people are actually like in danger. Like
it just like it blows my mind. I'm just like, what can we do to help? Like obviously right now, like there's not much we can do to really help. Like there's obviously things you can do like after the hurricane to help with like restoration and whatnot. But like right now, it's just hunker down and make sure that things get to a safe space and really right. So like I don't know, it blows my mind how people are like, I want to say naive, but like I don't think that's the right term. Just like it just makes me sad.
Just
to think that people, like think about the bigger picture.
It does definitely make you feel a little bit grateful to be like, well, you're not in the prairies right now, but for me, like being in the middle of prairie Canada, like we're not really threatened with those kind of things, and it makes you feel really grateful that like, you know, people might think that it's boring here and stuff, but like, you know, there are beautiful things.
Me with my hand up.
that safety is one of them. But yeah, I mean, you have a beautiful view and everything there too. But you know, that's just one of the things like I think of right there. I'm like, man, like I can't even imagine what going through a hurricane or even hearing like one is going to be coming. I would be terrified. Like I can't even like really like imagine. I just can't imagine being in that situation. Like, and then even losing everything. Like you could possibly lose everything. Like how do you even cope with the prep for that, let alone the damage control afterwards?
100%. I 100% agree with that. Even like when I watch people that have like one of my favorite YouTube channels the other day, they like opened up like they bought earthquake kits from Amazon, and they were like opening them to see like what's in them and stuff, and they were kind of like poking fun at it, but it's like, no, those are legit things that people have to have depending on where they live. And like it's crazy, like growing up in Canada, you don't have any of those things. The most things you have to worry about is does your car have like a plug to warm it up in the winter because it's that cold, you know? Like we don't have any of those other things to really like worry about. And so like it's crazy to think overall. So yeah, I just like it's crazy.
Nonsense.
So
Yeah, I that makes me cranky. I don't like that. I just the priorities, right? Like set them straight for real.
100%.
Like people are probably going through the worst days of their lives, and you're cranky because your ship has to reroute itself. Like,
yeah,
get over yourself.
Yeah,
that's a hard no.
100%.
I'm so glad you chose something not like super serious, but like something along that line, because I'm going to be talking about something I'm sure people have heard in the news lately as well. And if you haven't, there was another mass shooting in Texas as of yesterday, I believe. So there was a gentleman who was pulled over for not signaling, and he had been fired from his job a few hours earlier and decided that it was a good idea to open fire on the police and the residents and the motorists nearby. Obviously, a shootout ensued. He ended up getting back in his car and driving, I think, 20 miles or so. Ended up in a movie theater parking lot, once again engaged with the police, and in the middle of everything here, I think he killed 7 people and wounded 22 more, and ended up dying in a shootout with the police. So it's kind of sad how I find myself like reading the news, and I see like, oh, another shooting. And it's so terrible to think that way. Like, oh, there's been another shooting, but it's not, it's losing its potency.
It turns my stomach. Like
it does.
The other day, I had seen like in a mom group that I'm in, and it's like, you know, it's not just Canada, it's it's with the States too. So it was a mother in America and the United States, and she had posted, look what I found at Staples, and it was a backpack that was bulletproof. It had a bulletproof backing on it, and it was like $100 and something. And she's like, the sadder part is that I bought that for my son today. And that was like a reality now. Like she bought her son a bulletproof backpack because he may need it. And
to go to school where he's supposed to get his education.
Yeah.
And be safe.
And it was just like that. I just like it literally, even now talking about it, like, but when I saw it, and then I've seen it like, I think it's like a reposted thing. And like, every time I just see something similar, I just like, my whole body just gets goosebumps. I'm just like so bothered by it. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I had seen it and I thought it was a meme at first. I didn't actually think it was something like real, because that's like it looked fake. But yeah.
Well, I think for me, it's when reiterating back to when we were talking about the cathedral burning and that kind of thing, it's again priorities, like what is important, and especially within media and societal reaction, what's important. And a building burning is apparently more important than the fact that we've had probably almost 300 mass shootings in the US alone, and the year
and they don't want to change. Yeah,
the year isn't even over yet, and nobody wants to talk about gun control because they don't want to have to tell society or tell people within their society, no, you can't have this because you are not capable of controlling yourself with this weapon.
And why are most of these mass like shooters happening? Because they're told no, or they're rejected, or they feel like they haven't got what they wanted, right? It's a tension.
And we're not saying like take away the guns completely.
But like that's not what's, you don't. They need like you see. I don't know what the actual stats are and stuff, but I've seen posts and stuff where people have posted stats and like talked about how like places that do have gun control, like better gun control policies, how different the stats are compared to the United States. And yet the United States still is like, no, like, we don't care. Like, we don't care what you guys have. Like, we won't do that. because...
And it's not a matter of taking the guns away. It's literally just a matter of having the proper protocols in place so that you have to be the right person in order to have this gun in your house for whatever reason. So like, obviously, yes, if you're a police officer, you've gone through these types of trainings, etc., whatever. But if you're going to be a civilian within society, you have to pass a very strict level of training or policy or whatever in order to have this gun.
Or like, have a reason for, like, why would you do an automatic that like you need to shoot, like,
to protect yourself from other people who have guns? Like, no. To protect yourself from a potential intruder, get a bat. Like,
you don't need one of those ones that are like, like you don't ever need to shoot people like that. So, like,
and that's what he had.
Protect yourself with that.
Yes, that's like, what the shooter had as well. He had an AR typed rifle, so you don't need something that's going to output 300 bullets in a minute. Like, that's not what you need. And it's just, I don't know. It just got me really angry because I was like, why isn't anyone doing anything about it? There is talk about it. There's media coverage, etc. But it's like the people who are in the power, in the right power to do things and change things aren't startled enough by whatever the fuck is happening down there in order to do something and change something about it. And it just makes me really upset.
Well, just remember that same person that's empowered to change those laws also thought it would be appropriate to nuke the hurricane because apparently that would stop it. So. Yeah.
And I mean, like, obviously, like, he's a lost cause, and we have people who are, going against the NRA and that kind of thing. But it's just like, when is it going to be enough? Like, even just like, Joe Citizen on the street, like, why are we crying and getting crazy over a building burning? And why are we not donating to a cause that's going to stop guns and gun control? So yeah, I don't know. It just got me really upset. I was like, it's too early for this, but I was like really mad.
You guys had to get out that frustration.
I could talk all day about it. I can't. Yeah.
And then there's me. I'm like, sunflowers.
And that's when you started. I was like, oh shit. I'm gonna be Debbie Downer who's like, so people are dying.
No, but it's talk about that kind of stuff and get awareness and hear opinions on it and just
all right, well, on to happier topics. Our subject today for the podcast is a pretty broad and general topic. We're going to be talking about happiness. Earlier you mentioned, autumn is on its way, hopefully relatively shortly. Back to school is going to be in full swing. The nostalgia of just, new pencils and notebooks and sending the children off to school, all that good stuff. I think it kind of just stirs up feelings of needing to start new and start fresh, and thinking about things that make us happy and want us to adjust what maybe is not working in our lives. Negativity, kind of pushing it out of the way and making room for more positive things. So let's talk about like happiness, just kind of in general. Like, what are things that make you happy? Like, when are you guys the happiest?
Who wants to go first?
Whoever, you can go if you want.
Well, for me, I would have to say my little tiny humans make me the happiest. I'm probably the most happy when they're like snuggled up to me. They're like asleep. They don't like need anything except for me. Like, just that feeling is like the best thing, to just like hold them and like they're like completely like content and like they feel safe and loved. They're like dozing off to sleep, and that is like my happy place. So like just that warmth and like that I made that. Like this little thing came out of my body. Like I co-created a human being with another person that I love, and like they're right here and they're happy, and that moment is good. And I feel like that is like the definite happy spot if I ever had one. But yeah, that's the happiest.
That's such a powerful thing to think about. Like, I've created this being with somebody that I have so much love for. Like, what a powerful moment. 100%. Like, I can't imagine what that would be like, but I can like imagine, you know what I mean? Like, you made something, you made a human with somebody who you have so much love and like adoration for, and then that person is like happy and like part of you and laughing and like content and sleeping and like
it's just that comfort feeling, and it's just like I don't know, those moments are just like the moments that feel like time is like just standing still for that minute, and you're just there. It doesn't matter what is happening, what's going on in the world, or what kind of worries you have, what chores are on your list. Like it's just that moment. You're there, you're happy, you're together. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like I almost like see like a little bubble that we're in at that moment. And like, eventually, I mean, it pops and you have to go do a chore or something, but like those moments are like the perfect moments. But a close second is also watching any like loved one, like when they are happy, like seeing other people experience joy. I feel like it's almost like more joyful than me feeling joy. Well, I don't know, because like I'm feeling joy watching them feel joy. But like it's just, I feel like that's just such a nice feeling. Like when you see, like if you guys, like when you guys are like, oh my God, like this happened for me. Like I feel like those are great moments as well for me, because I'm enjoying that you're enjoying something, right? I enjoy those kind of things.
I'm kind of similar that way. Like I really get a lot of happiness out of seeing like others be happy. Like if I'm able to like impact their life in some way, like being that person for people definitely like makes me happy. In general, I get like that warm fuzzy feeling that like I've done something for those persons and people, and I've made a difference within and an impact within their life, which is something that like, I don't know, just makes me happy. Like a few years ago, it actually came over my Facebook memories recently. It was like a post I had said, I was like, I just want to like make a difference in the world. And I've like slowly come to realize that like, it doesn't have to be the world. It can just be within like the few people that I know, to be able to like be happy. Obviously like doing this podcast is like something that like helps me fulfill that a little bit, because it is reaching some of those people, but also like people that maybe I don't know, and has that potential to like make a difference within people's worlds. But like realizing that it doesn't have to be the world that I have to make a difference for. It's for those people within my world. And so,
and there's always like that trickle effect, right? When you make a small impact in somebody's life, it can impact them in a big way. And that exudes out, right? Because then they might be, so like you smile at somebody walking down the street, they might have been really grumpy that morning, but somebody smiled at them. So then they smile back at you, and maybe they turn their head and they smile at another person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that those small little gestures can make huge impacts, and like the connections that you make with people in the world. I feel like I'm like that with like you, like those connections. I love making connections with people because I feel like that trickle effect, like small little things that, you know, you can learn from each other or pass on to each other. And it's just, I think that's a really beautiful thing, and it makes me happy too.
The other thing that like makes me happy, like if it was going to be like something that like kind of like selfishness makes me happy. I guess, I don't know if that's the right term. But I haven't done this in a long time, and I missed a lot, and I want to like maybe get back into it, just because it does like make me happy. And even when I'm in my room alone and do it, no, get your minds out of the gutter. It does make me happy. but no, I used to sing a lot, and when I'm on stage and like singing, it just feels so good. There's a few songs that I'm like really hooked on from The Greatest Showman right now that like I can just listen to, and if I'm in the car, I will just like have it blaring and I will just belt my heart out. And it just like, I love that feeling, the feeling of like, I don't know, there's like just like this feeling within like your esophagus and stuff, and it just like, it feels good. And I miss that, especially like being on stage and being able to share with people. I mean, you guys have heard me sing, and you guys say I sound good, but like when I've recorded myself, I like sound horrible. So I don't know if there's like a whatever, but I've always wanted to be like a performer and do that. And so I'm trying to kind of get involved with like my local little, like, it's called the Lady Smith Little Theater. It's this cute little, like, school that got turned into, like, a theater. So I'm trying to get, like, involved there to start, like, performing again. But yeah, I would say that's probably, like, one of my, like, happier, like, when I notice that I'm, like, really happy is when I'm on stage, and either if it's dancing or singing or acting or whatever, just performing, like, really, like, makes me feel good.
That's not selfish at all. That's, like, you know what? It makes you happy. It's something that your soul is connected to, right?
Yeah.
Spirit.
I miss it a lot. So
Passion.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Passione.
Brandi, what makes you happy?
I want to know. Is it my face?
It is your face. That was my number one.
Oh, I knew it. That's why I gave you my face for your birthday that one year.
Yeah, I still have it.
It's my favorite gift I've ever given everyone.
I think obviously, like, along the same kind of realm as you guys, for sure. I think my biggest thing for sure is going to be, I said for sure a lot. When I'm doing things that I enjoy, so like I have a very strong passion for writing and for film. So I think that makes me happy because I am doing something that I love, and I have such a strong connection to film in general and for writing. So I think that's going to be something that makes me happy. It's something that I feel like brings joy to me because it is, it's not work. It's not work for me. It's not something that is strenuous, and I really enjoy it. I would say even stuff that gets me out of my comfort zone too, stuff that's kind of like abnormal and like outside of the routine. So if I haven't like done something before or been to a specific place, those kinds of things make me happy because I'm challenging myself and I'm pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. And I feel like you experience different things and you feel different emotions when you're doing those kinds of things, and it kind of shakes things up for you a little bit. So I think doing stuff outside of my comfort zone makes me happy. And obviously other people, like my kids at work, there's like small moments where I'm just like walking by the break room and I'll just hear them talking and laughing, and I stop like outside the break room and I'll just listen. And I just like, I'm so proud of my babies because they're all such individual people, and they're all so different and intriguing as human beings. It makes me so happy that I get to kind of be with them every day and experience their lives kind of through them. I feel like I have like 50 children. I don't know why them specifically, but like I just get so much joy from them. They like literally make my day. If I'm having like the worst day, those are the people that I'm reaching out to because they're the ones that are checking in. They're like, hey, how you doing today? You look a little tired. Or, oh, do you have a headache today? I can kind of see it in your face. Or, they'll ask me questions about like life outside work. And I don't know. I just, them specifically, like my work kids, they bring a lot of joy and like happiness to my life because they are hopefully people that I feel like I'm impacting in whatever small way that I can. And hopefully somebody that they see, as somebody they can look up to and respect. So, I would say those three for sure.
It's funny because like I feel like all of them are like, in the end, it's like human connection, right? It really, if you overall like you're like when we're saying like we enjoy like, when we can help somebody or watch somebody be happy, be part of that. It's just like the overall human connection. That is like the happiest that humans are, is when they feel connected to somebody. And it's such an intangible thing that you can't
explain it.
It's hard. Yeah. It's hard to describe, right? It's just this like, it's human connection. It's something that everybody needs.
Well, and they're people that I normally wouldn't have met in my life if we didn't work together. Like they're very young and they're probably people I wouldn't have in my social circle. And I feel like that makes it extra important because they keep me on my toes, and they're also energetic. And God, I'm such a tired old lady right now. I'm like trying to suck the essence out of them so I can like feel young and fresh again.
You're like, come close, child.
but yeah, no, I think
Oh my God, I just pictured Brandi. Come, little children, I'll take thee away.
listen, you have no idea. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie so much. So like reference me away.
Is it bad that I don't know what movie that is?
Hocus Pocus.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Well, you're voted off.
I've watched it. I just don't know it well enough to be able to quote it. So sorry about it.
But yeah, anyway, so yes, shout out to my work kids. They my babies.
I get that though. I get that same feeling when I'm like in a leadership role or like at anywhere like that I've worked. Just being able to, because you are making an impact in their lives, right? And teaching them skills that they maybe didn't know before or whatever it may be. So I think it takes a lot to be like a good leader. I'm someone right now that I'm actually reading this book called Dare to Lead by, I'm going to butcher her name.
Brene Brown.
There you go. Thank you. Which is really good. So right now, like it's kind of like in this chapter about vulnerability and how you have to like be willing to be open to like feedback and to be able to help others and stuff. So I think it's really good in like that aspect, but like it helps you kind of like in the wrong end to like again then make impacts in others' lives and like within their work as well. So I'm there with you on that, my girl.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah, girl. I guess like I don't know. What do you guys kind of think leads to like long-term happiness? Like obviously those are things that kind of like make us happy in the moment, but what do you think can actually like really like lead us into like what's your goals for like long-term happiness?
For me, it's something. So like when I was working, like before I had Sebastian, I noticed like it was not like right before I had Sebastian. It was more like when I was still like I hadn't moved out yet. I felt like I noticed that it was really easy to fall into like negativity. Whether it was just like randomly, like you would get to work and people are like, oh, good morning. Like, how are you? And immediately, even if I wasn't like having like a bad day, like all I did was wake up and come on the bus and then get to my workplace. And I'd be like, oh, I'm so tired. And I feel like I said that so often, even if I wasn't tired. It was like I was so used to complaining. That was just like the culture of the workplace or the culture of just, I don't know, the people I was around. And so I had fallen into this habit of just being like automatically negative, and it wasn't serving any purpose to me. And I started to realize it and like started to try to catch myself in it and basically like turn that bus around and like be like, well, no, I'm not going to do that.
No, just kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, so like for me, long-term happiness is really like, I don't know, like being like practicing self-awareness, whether it's like in exercises or just little things that you, I guess, check in with yourself about, whether that's like journaling. Like I do a bunch of different things. Like I use a planner and then I use journals, and like I use different outlets of creativity, like to express myself. And like as a family, we try to practice like some gratefulness exercises and stuff like that. And those all help me to be a little bit more self-aware, so that when I do fall into like a negativity kind of slump or whatever, if I feel myself like getting there, I kind of have like a plan to get out of it. And so I'll like work my way out of it using whatever like pre-plan that I kind of had, or steps or something. And it's for me, that's how I keep myself like on a steady like pace, I guess you would say. And yeah, that I would say that is like how I get to, like, that's what I think will help me with my long-term happiness, is staying on that path.
Yeah,
and not
100%.
letting myself slump down.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when it comes to like say like happiness within like your workplace and for like your job, right? Like, every job is like you got to leave whatever's at home at the door. Well, it's kind of hard when like you're really invested in your job and you bring your work home with you. And for me, it's especially hard because I work from home, right? And like, so it's really easy for me to.
It doesn't have to go anywhere. It's like it's just already there.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to like kind of separate them. And so like it's really good to have like your routine. Like for me, like I'll try to still get up in time, still have a shower, and then almost like change as if I'm going to like put shoes. Like, so this is someone else that like mentioned they do this, but like put shoes on when you start work, and then once you're done work and you move away from your desk, you take your shoes off to almost like have that like connection that like you're done work now. It's like this separation. But I think if you are in a place like, say, when regards to like happiness at work, if you come in and have those negative feelings all that time, that place is then going to become negative to you and you're not going to want to be there, which ends up in you like obviously leaving. So like obviously there's certain things that the workplace can put in place for you to do that, but I think it is always good to come in with like a good attitude and kind of give it your all. I've always been that person. I've always had that like work ethic where it's like, no, I'm going to come in, I'm going to do my job, I'm going to do a good job, I'm going to do what's best to like make the people around me happy, but also like my customers and stuff as well. So I try to like implement the network, and it was kind of hard for me because I would do that at work, but then I also wouldn't do it for myself.
Yeah. And I feel like, yeah, you might have two different modes, like with work and then at home, but it's important to do that. I feel like we're specifically talking about like leading to long-term happiness is like, you have to do that on a full front, is like choose not to be like, don't get me wrong, honor your feelings and kind of, become aware of where they're stemming from and why you feel like that. But
100%.
Then choose not to dwell in that, because then you're setting yourself up, like it's not serving you. So you have to choose now, what steps are you going to take to make this into a positive path that you're moving forward on. And it's hard a lot of times. Like people go through really rough times. Like I've had like really, really rough times in my life, and I've had to assess where I was at, honor my feelings, let them take whatever time that they needed. But I had to eventually go, okay, it's not serving me anymore to do this. I know now where those feelings are from. I'm clear on why I feel that way. And I can still feel like that, but I can also walk towards a brighter area of my life. And I feel like that is like, it's really easy for people to fall into negativity and get stuck there, because it's so easy to be negative, and people 100%. Don't realize it, but they will play into that with you. And yeah, I know this, I had a horrible sleep last night, like whatever it is, it can be a minute thing. But if you complain, like even just as an exercise, like go to work and like start a conversation in negativity, nobody's going to be like, oh, like I had a great day. They're going to respond and try to relate to you. And they're going to try to say like, oh yeah, me too. Like that's just what humans do. Right.
100%.
So you have to choose to take those steps and stay positive, as positive as you can, like while honoring those feelings as well.
Yeah. I like for like me personally, like one of those things that like I've noticed that has like really helped with like my positivity in regards to like my life in general is starting that like aquafit class that I've talked about like a few times. Like it's something that I actually enjoy. It's something that it just makes me feel good. So like it's just implementing like those little things. Like I just got a new journal, and I always buy journals because I think they're pretty, and I'm like I'm actually gonna do this, and like I never actually do, and they sit there. But I put myself to like I want to try, like, because this journal that I bought, it's for 3 months only. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to commit myself to doing this for 3 months. And like each day, I kind of like, it has different goals that you can set up for yourself. Also, like there's like a daily gratitude, so you can actually sit back and like look at like your day and like what were you grateful for out of that day. So I think it's really good for like to reflect on and stuff. So I'm excited to see like how I like this book in particular, because I really like the idea of bullet journaling. I just have a hard time kind of coming up with like a really good structure for it myself. So I think kind of working based off of this, I might get into that a little bit more there, because that's also like something that makes me happy, is creating something and having it look pretty. And because I'm like, dang, that looks good. Like, that looks real good. And so, yeah, just like, I'm excited to kind of see where that goes in regards to that. So, but Brandi, tell me.
Oh, y'all know I have opinions.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, long-term happiness, it is 100,000% always going to start and always going to end with you. So I think self-sufficiency and I guess self-sustainability for me is going to be the long-term happiness, because you can't really rely on other people for happiness. You can't rely on things or experiences or circumstances or anything like that. It really does boil down to you and like you internally. And I think if you can take ownership of that, mentally, physically, emotionally, and work on it and support yourself in that as much as possible, I think it's going to affect the people around you just as much. Just as like everyone's talking about, love yourself before you love somebody else. Same thing. You have to be able to learn how to be happy within yourself and be happy with who you are as a human being before you can take on other things. And I think at the end of the day, it starts and ends with you. And I think it's so important to always work on yourself first. I feel like people are always searching too much for self-worth and happiness and love in other people, and mistaking that for self-worth. And I think it's really, really, really important to be able to recognize when maybe you don't have that self-love and when you don't have that self-confidence and that self-sufficiency, and to be okay to call yourself out on it and hold yourself accountable and work on it. I think, people are just, again, trying to find themselves in other people, and it's a mistake. You're literally projecting yourself onto that person. They're not going to make you happy. They're not going to solve all your problems. They're not going to make you okay with yourself. It has to start with you. So I think for long-term happiness, 100%, it's all about yourself.
Yeah, I agree. That's like what I was saying about like, you really do have to be self-aware and like to really be able to catch yourself in those moments and reassess things. And you can feel like a lot of people, like I've had friends who, when they're single and they're just like, I just wish that I could find somebody, and I feel like everything will be good then. And Braden's raising his hand. I don't think but it's different. Like, then if you're thinking like, well, then I'll be happy, that's not going to be the case, right? Like, you have to be happy, and like they can add to your happiness for sure. Like,
absolutely,
of course, but they're not, you can't put that on somebody either. Right. So to be self-aware, catch yourself in those moments, like work through that feeling. If you're like, oh, again, I told somebody that like, I wish I could just find a person, then I would be happy. But I'm catching myself. I said it, and you know what? I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have thought that way. I need to reassess like the situation and start thinking on the path that I was trying to think and get back to those goals. But that also comes with setting goals, right? You do for me anyways, I don't think like everybody has to like live the same way, but for me, I like to set like certain goals for myself, like set certain limits, set certain goals, and strive towards those things, because it also gives me a chance when I do assess myself and see where I'm at, that I can go, okay, I was venturing a little far from that path. Like if I want to, stay on a positive path and that's my goal, then when I go on a negative path, I know I have to readjust the map, right? I have to get back onto the right path. Yeah, it's the same thing for like relationship. People look like that, like what you were talking about.
Absolutely. I think what it boils down to is just people are so afraid to hold themselves accountable. I think nobody wants to see themselves in a bad light. And I think it's so important to be able to have the freshness of mind to be able to know that you're not perfect and it's okay. And you're going to be better off for it. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. And you should, and it's even better because you can't grow as a person if you're not going to change things about yourself that aren't good or that aren't helping you.
That aren't making you happy. Yeah. If they're not serving you, you need to let it go.
Whether it's like laziness or just like, I'm scared because I don't want to like make myself seem like I'm not good enough. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Oh my God. And you just said that. And like, okay, remember that movie I talked about in like our film episode, Waking Life? That's one of the quotes is, what is humanity's biggest obstacle, fear or laziness? Because when you are at a crossroads, often it's you're scared to do something, or I'll get to it later. I'll get to it later, right? You put it off, but it's either for fear or laziness. You're not doing it. You know, those are two huge factors. But
there's something in this Dare to Lead book that actually mentions like that fear. I'm just going to see if I can try to find it. You guys can continue talking about.
I was going to ask, we were talking long-term happiness. What do you guys have anything that you guys do in the short term that sometimes will make you happy, but makes you unhappy in the long term?
Food. Eating food. Just as someone who like right now like weight is like a huge thing for me. Always has like been a big thing, but like I'm really trying to like I'm wanting to lose weight and kind of get in better shape and stuff. But like I'll find like say if I'm unhappy, I will eat food and it'll make me feel gratification like in that moment. But as soon as you're done eating, like I don't feel it. Like I'm back to where I am, and then I think about it like long term. It's like, okay, great. I just like screwed myself up because like I've lost about 50 pounds since February, and so thanks. And so like when I look at the scale and stuff, and then like I compare it to like when I have those moments when I want to like just go and get McDonald's and eat like 17 Big Macs, and just kidding, I've never done that. But like, Braden. But you know what I mean though. Like you have like, I don't know, like I have those moments where like that's what I want to do, and then after I'm done eating, and like, yeah, sure, like you enjoyed the food, but like you don't feel good afterwards, and you don't feel good like long term. And so like that's something I struggle with, but at least like I'm acknowledging to try and like change that.
Yeah.
So that's mine.
I think very similarly along that same line. I think it's instant gratification. I think for me is something specifically like just like buying stuff, because I'm somebody who's very lucky to be pretty financially stable, and I struggled a lot growing up with finances. And so I always promised myself when I had the opportunity to be able to support myself financially and enjoy being able to purchase things that I enjoy. I always told myself, like, once I get to that point, I'm just not going to have guilty feelings about it. I'm going to allow myself to have these freedoms because I didn't have them growing up. And I really wanted to give that to myself, just like to prove that I had done enough to progress and support myself as much as possible. And so I think just like purchasing things, and then by the end of like the week, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, so now I have to budget for the rest of the week. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate. And I think for me, like my weakness is for sure like makeup and clothing. So yeah, I would say like just giving myself I always justify it. I always justify it somehow, like, you know what, I had a really rough day today, so I'm going to justify buying myself this meal. Or, you know what, like I've worked really, really hard this week. It's been a really rough week. I've earned this dress, or, you know what I mean? I can always like justify it to myself. And then at the end of the week, I'm like, okay, so for the rest of the week, I'm going to be, you know, budgeting 100%, and I can only buy this much for here and this much for here. And, so yeah, I've definitely gotten better like lately, and obviously like paying off the cruise has made me a little bit more aware of those kinds of things as well. And I think, I think that's probably one. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I used to be a compulsive shopper, and I had a little bit of a shopping addiction that I had to overcome. And I still I feel like I'm one of those like the Alcoholic Anonymous people. Like I still consider myself an addict of it because I can fall off the wagon sometimes. And I mean, I don't like ever go into debt anymore, but I used to like I was really like addicted to shopping at one point and had to pay off a debt and yeah, so I learned my lesson and I've gotten so much better, and I've also got like less, I feel like less materialistic, although I hoard all of my clothing. Like I have so much clothing. I might be able to like purge like crazy other things, and I do still purge clothing, but I do also hold on to a lot of it as well. Being somebody who has always like fluctuated in weight, I'm always like, worried that like, oh, if I like gain weight or I lose weight, like I have clothes for that, right?
Often.
Right. But I'm working on that as well. But that's more of something like in my past that I struggled with. But now I would say like the biggest thing that like I do short term that makes me unhappy in the long term is like emotional shortcuts. So like if there's like a confrontation, even if it's not like between me and somebody, but like, it could be between me and somebody, or it could be two people, like two friends are having like a spat, or people in my family are not getting along. I feel like I take emotional shortcuts of like just kind of removing myself and not saying what I feel like. Cause like sometimes it affects you, right? So like if you and Braden are upset with each other, it also affects me because I'm part of this trifecta, right? And you not talking to him is going to make like things awkward. Him not wanting to talk to you. Like there's dynamics that are now shifting, right? So I feel like I take emotional shortcuts and then end up paying for it after because I didn't say maybe what I was feeling at the time. So those people don't know how I feel. So they can't react or try to help me in any way. And I'm not there for them either with anything that they might, need to work that through either, right? Because we're in relationships together. But also it ends up having a huge load on my back of like either resentment or things that will have to eventually work through. So I feel like in the long term, I'm like making more work for myself and giving myself more baggage to carry. But in the moment, I feel like I'm like, no, it's not my place and I'm not going to say, and, or it's too stressful. I'm not going to deal with it. And it just ends up, I feel like, a big pile of laundry that you have to do later.
Girl, you are.
Time too. I put off my laundry. That's another one.
Oh, you are preaching to the choir right now, girl. Listen. Yeah, 100%. You just always want to make everyone feel better in the moment, right? Even like to your detriment.
It's not even like feeling better. It's just like, I feel like for me, I just don't say anything. So I stay out of it where, it's not the worst thing either. I'm not saying it's like, it is a coping mechanism. Like if it wasn't something done to me, sometimes it isn't my business to step in. But then when it does shift a bunch of dynamics and you have to change, like you have to like go out of the way to do stuff, like it does affect you. And you should be able to tell the people that you love how their behavior has affected you and made you feel, right? Because you should be able to be open about that. And since you weren't the person who made that change, you should be able to say it without feeling like you're going to be, now an issue. But
I think that partners with like making sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people that would receive that properly and not react poorly because they're emotionally mature enough to handle a conversation like that.
Yeah, 100%. I think it almost goes in line with like that message that I sent you guys yesterday that I got from my book. I like my book. But there was like an exercise in my book that said to message those that you truly value their opinion of you, and to let them know. And like the message was, I'm just trying to find it here real quick. Sorry. And the message just to send to those people, if you guys want to send it to people, maybe just to like let them know. But it's just as I'm getting clear on those, on whose opinions matter to me. Thank you for being one of those people. I'm grateful that you care enough to be honest and real with me. And I think it's really important to like reach out to those people that you really do like value their opinion of you, and let them know that, because people may not realize how much of an impact that like they're making on you. So like I think it's important to like let them know, because yeah, I sent it to you guys because I love you, and and I truly value like your opinions, like and learning from you guys. So I appreciate everything that you guys have done for me, especially over the past little while. So
right back at you, kid.
I was gonna say, like, absolutely 100% mutual.
Yeah.
All the feels.
Aww.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. What else can we talk about here with happiness?
I feel like we covered like a good variety of like little pathways from happiness, like how to do it from within, short term versus long term, and like are we getting it from other people, and those kinds of things. I think we kind of encompass that really well. I think just in our answers, I think it kind of touched all the bases, which I think is pretty interesting.
Nice.
I was like, oh, lots of different perspectives.
Do y'all feel happy?
I do feel happy.
I think I will. Because I'm not going to lie and say yes.
Do you have a plan? Do you have a happiness plan?
Yeah, I think, and I don't think happiness is something that you can just, I think it's small things. What I'm doing right now is every single day I'm holding on to those small things. I'm just like focusing on the small positives, and you know, for let's say tomorrow, I'm like, oh, I have a new dress I can wear, and I'm gonna feel cute at work, or those kinds of things. You know what I mean? It's those small things that you can hold on to. Like, I got to stay home today. I had a day off, and I got to spend it with my roommate and my cats. Like, I love my cats so much, and I never get to see. You know, it's those small things, and that makes me happy. So I'm not saying I'm unhappy. I think it's just like everyone's talking about that whole encompassing, like all encompassing happiness. And if that was the question, then like, no, I'm definitely not happy with where I am, but like, it takes time.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about last week too, you had mentioned like manifestation and whatever. And that was like making me think of like law of attraction and all of that. Yeah. What do you, I wanted to, because you made the comment last week, I wanted to know what your stance on, what was your stance on that?
On laws of attraction?
On law of attraction, like the thinking of like, that you manifest, like what you're thinking of, you put out into the energy into the world, and that you'll manifest that coming back to you.
You know what's so funny is that like I never used to be that person. I never used to be somebody who thought about those kinds of things in depth. And as I was growing older, there are just some things, and it wasn't just 2 or 3. It's more than both my hands combined. There were circumstances that would happen that were just too coincidental. You know what I mean? Just things that were happening that I was like, wait a minute. Like, I am an atheist. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in a higher power. I don't believe in like this big man in the sky. But I find myself feeling spiritual. I feel like there's got to be something that is impacting the way things are happening, because there's just some things that are happening that are just too coincidental. And so what I would work on is I've always been somebody who's like self-sufficient and like, I guess what's the word I'm looking for? Self-sustained, I guess. So I was like, well, maybe if I put this out into the universe through my actions, through my words, through my thoughts, through even just like my spiritual being, if I put this out into the universe, what's going to come back? And I'm a very, very firm believer in, if you're putting out positivity, you're going to receive positivity. And whether that's me being delusional enough to think that like, if I'm positive, I'm only focusing on positive, so I only feel positive coming back. And that could be a thing for sure.
If you're feeling happy because of that, then what's the bad?
Why not? You know what I mean? Like, if everyone could just be a little bit more positive. Why, like, wouldn't everything else just be more positive? I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling at this point, but I'm a very strong believer in whatever you put out, you're going to receive back in. And I've gotten things and I've experienced things in my life where this has truly happened for me. And I'm a very firm believer in, if you want something, put it out into the universe, do what you need to do to get there. I'm not saying like, okay, well, just wish that you want to be a movie star. You're going to be a movie star. It's not going to happen. You have to take the steps to do it. But you have
That's why I haven't had my baby.
Right? You just got to wish for it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm definitely a firm believer in, if you can just manifest it, you can just spend time, meditating or thinking about those kinds of things. And it's kind of like you are what you eat, right? Like you put out, you receive, which sounds very sexual, but I'm going to leave that alone. I find myself to be a very positive person. And I like to believe that I'm impacting people positively, and I'm going to receive that back. So very rambly, loosely.
No, I liked your answer. But
yeah, if anyone wants to talk about it in depth, I'm here all week.
We'll have to do like a law of attraction episode.
Law of attraction. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Cool.
Thank you.
Should we wrap things up there then?
Yeah.
Skip bookmark another time. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks to everybody who was listening today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to comment below. Let us know what makes you happy. And yeah, let us know what works for you and then maybe that we can implement to ourselves. It's always good to help everyone out there. Also, just as a reminder, our t-shirts are on sale to help the Amazon Rainforest Fires. Again, the proceeds for that go to Amazon Watch. You guys can check them out at amazonwatch.org. And yeah, well, I guess we'll see you guys next week, and we may have a special surprise then for you as well.
Surprises. I literally was gonna be like, does buying t-shirts make you happy? Well,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, that would make us really happy. Hello, Amazon.
All right, awesome. Have a good week, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Peace.